So I am working the edge of the field here, closest to my property, where I found a few old things alongside the old road in the past. It is literally right about there where I found a 1913 barber dime, so I figured even though this is further off to the right, there could be some things here. I found a couple pieces of shredded aluminum so far, and it had a signal in the high 70s, and this really surprised me. I actually have a coin here. Now, I would say don't get your hopes up. Ringing up in the high 70s, this could just be a modern penny, but let's hope it's older. You can see it down in the hole there, a few inches down in the field. Oh, you know what, guys? This is actually, I think, old. I thought it might just be a zinc penny. Because like I said, the house behind me here was built in 1977. And there's been some modern coins in this property too. But in this field, this must be a find from the old road. Ringing up as low as it did, below 80, it was like 76, 77. This would have to be a super old wheat penny or an Indian head. That is crazy. It looks like it's in really bad condition, like it's bubbled up a little bit. But I'm gonna clean it off and see what we have. That was unexpected. I have in the past found a V-nickel from the 1880s right behind the shed here. Thankfully it was almost buried under the newer house. But I cleaned this coin up. Unfortunately it's very toasty. This section here has been used as farm fields over the years. So the copper coins, I guess, aren't going to come up in very good condition. I cleaned it up and studied it. I can't tell what it is. You can see the kind of like the denticles going around the edge of the rim there. I'm pretty certain this is an Indian head penny. Normally if it's a Lincoln, you can at least see Lincoln raised up. It's kind of all bubbled in bad shape, but how it rang up in the 70s, it has that jade green color. I'm pretty certain this is an Indian head penny, and potentially even a slightly older one. It's not the thick copper nickel variety, which would have also rang up lower, so likely it's going to be 1864 to 1909, which is likely the range that this coin would fall into. That was pretty unexpected. I found it really quick. I mean, the old road basically ran straight through here, and when it gets to that little hump there where there used to be a tree, it started snaking that way, and the old house sat up right behind where this house is currently, right here on the hillside, right back in there on the other side of the stream. So these old finds are likely from that old house that sat over there, or potentially, I mean, you can't see it from here, the one that I've been detecting on the other side of this was built in 1900. It's an old farmhouse as well. So there is definitely old activity in this area. Potentially even some Civil War stuff back here. I'm not too far away from the Battle of Bluntville. Anyway, we'll continue on. I'm going to grid this area, see if I can pop another coin. Alrighty, I'm only about a yard away from where I found that Indian head penny. I worked up and down this way, one pass to about right there, and then came back. And I got another good target. This rang up, well, kind of bouncy 60s and 70s. But as I got down to it, the signal sounded better. This is way down there. It's definitely an old find. Very, very old utensil handle. Appears to be copper. That is an old one. Or is that the end of it there? I don't think that's the handle. That would be too small. This may be like a really old type of like butter knife. That is a pretty cool find. I don't know exactly how old that is, if that's 1800s or, I mean, of course that could be early 1900s. I don't think it's any newer than that, but not too far away from where I found that Indian head penny. So maybe this farm field's going to turn out to be better than I expected. I mean, there's a lot of area to cover here, and I already got 2 old finds. Let's continue on. Well, I think we can finish this story no more than a couple feet away. Got a blasting signal I thought might be aluminum, but it's all old stuff in this section. There appears to be the rest of it. A giant spoon bowl. That's a big one. And here's the other piece. Looks like it's a a good fit. So I'm assuming the plow probably hit this and threw it in different directions. Yeah, giant old spoon. It's got like an interesting little shape here coming out the sides of it. This is pretty old. Hopefully it has some markings on it to be able to tell how old maybe. But yeah, that's an early one. So the end of the yard is here, and this is the stream that runs along there. It's a very small stream. It's more like a runoff. There's usually not a lot of water in it, sometimes not at all. And I came into this outcropping of rocks back here. You can see some really giant rocks. And what I think happened here is one of the things that farmers do in areas where there's already a lot of boulders naturally, they use it as like an area to pile up big rocks that they need to get out of their fields when they're first developing them. So I think that's what this little patch is here. I think this is where they just pushed all the big boulders on the property over the years and then just kind of let it grow in. This is maybe about 15 yards across. It's kind of like in an oval shape, but I figured I'd come back in here in case there were any signals back here. I mean, who knows? It's like I said, I'm actually very close to where the old house used to sit here that I think goes back to at least the Victorian period. I did dig out this big piece of iron back here, just testing out a signal. We got here, there's a bottle over here. I don't think that's a brand new one. Almost looks like an old mellow yellow bottle of some similar, maybe like 1980s. I mean, you know, not too old, but I mean, just a complete bottle sitting back here. This area probably hasn't been disturbed in quite a very long time. Not going to be easy to swing back in here, but you know, where all these, unfortunately there's so much foliage piled up back here, but you think with all these certain rocks which would have been original here, like ones that wouldn't have been plowed here, you can see how gigantic they are. So I mean, I can picture people have been playing around in here back in the day, if these people had kids, and this is where I'd be hanging out, back by all these rocks. Well, I guess there's going to be some stuff back here. This is literally where I just had my gloves and that piece of iron set. Down under here, I thought I was just going to have like a piece of a can or something. I don't know what I have here. Whoa. What is this? Some kind of design on it. In the center. I think whatever it is, it's plated. I don't think it's silver. It's obviously a lid or a cap to something. Maybe this could have been a compact, like half of one. An old makeup compact. If anybody recognizes this design on the inside, please let me know in the comments. Huh. I'm definitely going to look back here a little bit more. That is peculiar. I came back up on the side of the house close to where I found the old V-nickel before. What I think is the Indian head penny down here. Just dug a little bit of scrap since I came back out here. Check out this old find though. It's an old piece of brass, but look at the patina. That is like one of the deepest jade green colors of anything I've ever dug. I don't know what this was off of. That is going to be old for sure though. That has to be 1800s there. Very heavy. I think it's hollow on the inside though from here. It just has clay caked in it, but that is very old. I figured I'd come close to the top of the hill to give you all a look. In a future day, we'll probably go in those woods up there. There's some interesting stuff up there I want to show. That'll be for a different video. Let's first come along this way. And that's my property down here, built in 1977. You can see sitting up on the hill, the old house that was built in around the late 1800s, sitting up there, the abandoned one that I've been around. This house was built, I believe, in 1968. I've detected that. Down here, this one was built in 1953. Found a lot of mid-century coins over there, some silver dimes, a lot of wheat pennies and cool stuff. This is a newer house, which is the owner of all of the property I'm on right now. I haven't detected that one. I think that one was built in the early 60s. And I have detected this one. This is actually, apart from the abandoned one over there, this is, I believe, the oldest, apart from the abandoned one, the oldest standing house back in this neighborhood, except for potentially one further down the road. This one was built, I believe, in the early to mid 1930s. I have detected it. That video will be on the way. And but as far as signals out here in this field, it's very barren. It gets really steep up that way. You can see the tower over here. And I always thought if there was some Civil War relics in this area, they'd be concentrated toward the top of this hill, but there's really no signals up here. But I will try a little bit up higher that way and in those woods at some point. Who knows? But I figured to give you all a view here. Pretty cool spot, even though there wasn't a lot of activity back here. It's a fun place to detect. Most of the good stuff I found was by the old road that snaked, that right about where my finger is kind of where I found that the old spoon Indian head earlier. So the old road came through where the modern driveway is, ran the whole way back here to this field, then cut across the stream, and the old house was somewhere back in there. Which I actually searched around before. Unfortunately, it was all dozed. I didn't really find much. But yeah, it's a cool spot back here. I've looked at the old maps extensively. I've been able to pull some cool things out. I'm going to go a little bit longer and see if we can pull something else out, but it's pretty quiet up here. While I have the perfect lighting angle, I'm going to show you all this penny. I scrubbed it really hard to see if I could get through to anything there. Really crusty. Thankfully, there is one tiny little area here where the coin has the original surface remaining. Right here. And you can see the tops of the letters C and A, which would be the last two letters in America. So this would be facing about forward right there, maybe a little bit more this way. Probably something like that. And it would flip over like this. It is indeed an Indian head penny, and it would say 1 cent in the center, have the wreath running around it, and then the shield on the top. So this is going to date between 1864 and 1909, because they started making the bronze ones in 1864, and this is definitely a bronze variety. So I'm assuming this one is probably from the 1800s, but we will certainly never get a date off of this. It is indeed an Indian head, though. So here is the happy trio of old coins that I have found on the side of the old road there. I figured I'd show them all side by side. This is the V-nickel that was behind the shed. You can't really see much on it now, but I did inspect it very, very closely shortly after I dug it and cleaned it off to be able to tell. The first 3 digits are 188, so it's one of the early V-nickels from the 1880s. That, of course, is the Indian head cent. It looks a little bit more clear now as it dries off and it's out of the direct light. And this is the old silver dime that I found probably about 5 yards away from where the Indian head was there, where an old tree was torn out. 1913, which is the newest coin from that road. So there you are, an old penny, nickel, and dime leading back to that really old property that used to sit across the road. Pretty cool how you got this, the different colors here. You kind of have that jade green and crusty look, then you have this reddish color from the nickel, and then the silver kind of tarnished black. So there's a few things I wanted to show before ending the video here. I did make a few other finds. I didn't film any of the aluminum trash. Did get one interesting piece of copper here, a newer shell casing. I did want to point out that On the other side of the road where I found the barber dime before, I found this old spoon with a floral design by the barber dime. And then I found a spoon and an Indian head penny today. Perhaps in this section, I knew there used to be a giant tree in the vicinity there. Maybe they were having picnics in that area, hard to say. But anyway, somebody tell me, what type of soda can was this? I'm not going to bother cleaning it off. See if you can figure that out from the colors. Probably one from like the 70s or 80s. And here's a look at what the penny and nickel and dime would have looked like if they were not under the ground. Here's examples of ones that are non-dug with moderate wear but still look pretty decent. There's the two V-nickels side by side, the Indian head pennies, and the barber dimes. You can see that Tennessee clay, that acidic soil, can really do a number on the coins over the years. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.